How many dimensions does our world have? What dimension do you think our world has? Usually we say, of course it is three-dimensional, right? That is because we can move forward and backward, left and right, and up and down. Then how does mathematics explain dimension? The French philosopher René Descartes explained dimension through the idea of coordinates. Dimension is the number of values needed to determine the position of a point. First, let us imagine a point. A point has no size and no direction, so we cannot determine a position within it. So a point is zero-dimensional. Then what about a line? On a line, the position is determined by how far a point is from a starting point. We just need one value, so a line is one-dimensional. Now let us think about a plane. To determine a point on a sheet of paper, we need to know two values. One tells how far the point moves across, and the other tells how far it moves up or down. So a plane is two-dimensional. The surface of the Earth works the same way. If we know the latitude and longitude, we can determine a location on Earth. Then what about the space where we live? Our space has three axes. It is easier to understand if we think about a ship and an airplane. We can locate a ship on the sea if we know its latitude and longitude. But airplanes are different. Even with the same latitude and longitude, the position of the airplane changes depending on its height. Therefore, to figure out the position of an airplane, we need latitude, longitude, and height. This is the three-dimensional space where we live. The relationship between two dimensions and three dimensions becomes easier to understand if we think about a solid and its shadow. When light shines on a solid, a shadow appears on a plane. When light shines on a sphere, a circle or an oval appears. When light shines on a regular hexahedron, the shadow may appear as a square or a rectangle. But just because the shadow is a circle, it does not mean the solid is a sphere. This is because a cylinder or a cone can also have a circular shadow depending on the direction of the light. In mathematics, representing a higher dimensional object in a lower dimension like this is called projection. A projection does not show all the information, but it often reveals important features. For example, when we measure our height, we express our three-dimensional body as a single length. In other words, it is like projecting three dimensions into one dimension. Interestingly, something similar happens when we see the world. The retina inside our eyes is a two-dimensional plane. Then why do we see the world in three dimensions? The reason is that we have two eyes. Because our eyes are slightly apart, the images that enter each eye are a little different. Our brain uses this small difference to calculate depth and distance. The three-dimensional world we see is reconstructed inside our brain in this way. Now let us ask one more question. Is our world really three-dimensional? Let us imagine planning to meet a friend. Let's meet at the entrance of the park. We chose the place, but we could not meet our friend. Why? Because we did not decide the time. To describe the world where we live, we need not only the three dimensions of space, but also another dimension called time. So many scientists say that our world is four-dimensional, made of three-dimensional space and one-dimensional time. Mathematics slowly reveals the invisible structure of the world where we live. The idea of dimension becomes another window through which we understand that world. We hope the children who read this math letter will hold this question in their minds. Is the world we see really everything?